Excellent. Perfect. Hey, thanks everyone for joining. So this is Kuldeep. I'm founder and CEO of Saraca Solutions, and I'll be of your host as well as one of the panelists. So today we are going to talk about this AI Act, which came recently, and how it is impacting IVDR devices. And we'll also talk about how it overlays three major regulations, IVDR, AI, cybersecurity, and GDPR. So I think I'll take a minute to just say a few words about myself, and then I'll request Manjul. So as I said, I'm Kuldeep, founder and CEO of Saraca Solutions. I have been in medical device industry for almost 20 years. Started mostly with devices and then moved on to IVD devices. I have extensive experience reviewing stat tech files, also class 3 IVDR devices for a variety of modalities, be it X-ray, MRI, pathology devices, a lot of blood-related analysis systems, and lately there are a lot of devices what I'm analyzing based on the AI element on it. So I faced a lot of FDA audit in past multiple years, numerous notified body audits, have done some good work with Australian, UK, Japan, PMDA, in China, CFDA, and other major regulatory bodies around the world. But a lot of extensive work in the European Union, not only with IVDR but also with MDR. And I think what Manjul and I are going to talk about how we can leverage experience of MDD to MDR transition here in IVDR, and on top of that, we have another regulation of AI. So I'm based in Delhi, but I travel extensively around the world, and I look forward to meeting you all sometime if I visit your cities at a later point of time and share some of the ideas in detail what we're going to do today. So that's about me. Manjul, do you want to say a few words about yourself?
Hey, thanks, Kuldeep, and very privileged to be part of this discussion and to be part of this panel. Uh, Good morning and good evening, everyone. This is Manjul, and I'm working as from last 17 years into medical device, mainly into design quality field. I've worked extensively with medical devices, including some of them were from the IV part of the world. Um, Also from the medical devices, I have covered the capital devices and as well as some of the single-use devices as well into the design and development and sometimes part of the post-market analysis as well. So today we are going to have a good discussion on the technical documentation that we can foresee that is coming from the AI and cybersecurity part of it, um, that would be building into your IVDR technical documentation and would be required in coming years. So looking to forward to have a very constructive discussion regarding these, and very privileged to be part of this panel. So thanks a lot. Over to you, Kuldeep.
Thanks, Manjul. No, absolutely. I think your experience on quality will definitely help for folks in this webinar to understand what are the QMS requirements for not only for IVDR but how it really aligned with the AI Act, GDPR, and obviously cybersecurity. And I think your expertise on risk assessment, from a design quality perspective, more focused on cybersecurity will actually help everyone. So thanks a lot, Manjul, for spending time for sharing your knowledge here.
Say no props. We can start, I guess, the discussion.
Perfect. So just a few instructions, which we do for every webinar. So all of you are muted right now, and but that does not stop you to write your questions in the chat box. So if you have something, feel free to put it in the chat box, and Manjul and I will be able to look at them when we have completed the discussion. In case you are not able to get your question answered because we might have a number of participants, and feel free to send your questions to contact@saracasolutions.com, and any one of us would be happy to look at that question and come back to you with a detailed answer, or if required, we can always have a conversation set up. Great. So a high-level agenda. So what we are going to cover today, IVDR regulation. I think many of you already know it, but we'll just do a recap so that we do the agenda setting. And we'll also talk about IVDR timelines. I think there have been extension of timelines lately, but we'll just do a quick recap of IVDR timelines. Then we'll have a lot of discussion on EU AI Act. Why this act? So a lot of people are really discussing that why we already had like MDR, IVDR, GDPR, why another act. And I think around the world there is this debate that European Union is sort of coming out with a lot of acts which is reducing the innovation, but it's pros and cons how we look at. I think we'll have good debate on this topic, and then we'll also talk about risk classification. So like we already had risk classifications on device perspective from IVDR, but AI Act has its own risk classification. So we'll talk about that and how it overlay with IVDR, right, as well as the implications on cybersecurity and cyber risks. We'll also talk about, Manjul will talk about QMS requirements, for IVDR plus AI. I think that's the main topic for today. And we'll also talk about STED, technical documentation requirement. Manjul has put together a very nice slide where it lists all the key elements of technical documentation which notified bodies are really expecting to see when you submit the documentation. And it's always a good idea to put together your best shot in the first go, because that's the best chance to get your approval. If you start getting queries, you get into a chain, and then it's delays your product launch in the Europe, which nobody really wants. And then we'll talk about why cybersecurity is becoming more important with the AI Act. Cybersecurity was important already. If you have a software element in your product, and you are already doing, 62304 as well as SAMD. On top of that, you have, AI Act, which restrict you and demands a few more, tight control on how you are really putting software into a product, and your cybersecurity becomes more important. And then we'll have a key insights and takeaways so that you remember what you have taken from this. We have made it very crisp, very short, right? And by the way, this video will be recorded and will be put on a YouTube channel, so you will have all the time to look at this later on. But I think some of the folks who have joined live, I think that's the best way to really interact. Okay, let's jump on. So just a quick recap of IVDR. The idea here is not to tell more about IVDR, but it's just a recap that what are covers into IVDR. All of us knows medical devices and what is covered into MDR. So devices like pacemaker, defibrillators, all the implants, they are all medical devices. For example, thermometer. But the devices which are more prone for any kind of a human sample testing, right? Those are IVDR devices. So it could be reagents which are used in testing, calibrator equipments which are used to calibrate, your pathology equipment or anything in the blood related equipment, apparatus. There are a lot of kits which are really used to do assessment of any of your samples, certain instruments. control materials, right? Some border devices, may not be the entire equipment, but a piece of your equipment could be IVDR, and the overall product may fall into MDR. So that also happens. So it could be either a border device or a combination device. Software or a system. So your software itself can be a IVDR device, or the overall system can be a IVDR system. So it's a very high level recap. Intention here is not to go deeper. We have a separate webinar on IVDR. We did that many years ago when the regulation came. So if you want to go much more in detail, you spend some time on our YouTube channel and you'll be able to see more there. Perfect. So let's again recap of classification. So I think all of us knows that we have 4 classifications in IVDR. Is a little different than FDA. And some of you, if you're more focused on FDA, then you will find a difference. But at a high level, class A devices are no public health risk. But if you look at class B, C, and D, they are more equivalent to class 1, 2, 3 in FDA, right? So B is low risk, class C is moderate risk, and class D is high risk. So it's again a very quick recap, and very important aspect in European Union. So you have like a conformity assessment. So each state of European Union has a conformity assessment or competent body, which is almost equivalent to FDA, right? And they have signed notified bodies. So notified bodies work on behalf of these agencies, right, to approve your device, right, and assess your risk assessment, benefit and risk of your device, to approve that this could be launched in European Union. Okay, let's jump on to the next one. So what are the timelines? So I think it's again a recap. I think all of us know, we have seen these timelines, and thanks to the European Union, we have had a good extension during pandemic time, because we needed more time, right, to do an assessment and paperwork. So the timeline has been extended to 26th May 2025. And I think idea here is that if your device is IVDD by 26th May 2025, or let's say 25th May, then you have a transition period. But if your device is not IVDD, and you are just trying to launch after 26th May, you will have to directly jump onto IVDR. So that's the major snapshot here. I think this timeline is already here, and I think all of you have already worked upon your documentation, and you are mostly very closer to get your approval. But we just wanted to have a very quick recap. On the next slide, we are really talking about the transition time frame, which are, I think, very critical now, because if you look at some of the class D, or all the class D devices, by 31st December 2027, they have to be IVDR, right? So we got some transition period, but 2027 is not too far, and these are high-risk devices. So if you are a manufacturer of a Class D device, or a contract manufacturer of these devices where you have the regulatory controls, then you should make sure that you work aggressively to convert your IVD devices to IVDR during this time frame. Class C, it is December 2028, and for Class B devices, it is 2029. Okay, so let's jump on to the real topic of today's discussion. Introduction to AI Act. So it came in July 12, 2024. So it's very fresh, right? And it's entered into force in August 1st, 2024. Overall, and I think the reason behind AI Act, I think we have seen quite a few debate around the world. I think, I go to a lot of conferences around the world, be it medical, IVDR, right? And I think AI is the topic in each C-level executive speech, or like a technology person. So it's definitely a buzzword. There's a lot of excitement about AI. A lot of people are doing different kind of a development. So I think some people believe that it was the right idea to come out with an act to restrict the development. Right. In some cases, in my opinion, it really helps to innovate in the right direction. But obviously, there are other opinions where people think that with too much regulations, you restrict the innovation, and it sort of reduce the excitement of some of the startups who are into AI. It's a mixed bag, mixed feelings overall. But I think, in my opinion, personally, and Manjul can add his opinion. I believe that it is gonna help to for faster innovation because you have the clear pathway decided upfront. You can choose pathway, you know which risk level your AI system is. You can have better communication with your manufacturer or deployer, right, from that perspective. Manjul, do you want to give 2 cents of yourself on this act before we move
Yeah,
on?
it's yeah. I think the buzzword, as you rightly mentioned, is the AI. AI is the buzzword for the industry, and in all the industry, it's not just for the medical devices or IV industry that it is considered. In all the industry, it is. And if we think about you know, the societal or the environmental well-being for our patient and healthcare giver, we have to give them a little bit more um, a little bit more understanding of what AI is going to do, how much help
Mm-hmm.
they are going to get from this. So I think it is a non-discrimination and a fairness kind of for all the industries to put their perspective, put their effort to get AI embedded into their system, and take the system to the new level, like what we were seeing in the 1990s to the date that we are seeing now. There's so much development that has happened thanks to all the new regulations, new deeper in the understanding of the standards and regulations and fair play that has happened in the market.
Correct.
So, what I'm seeing that this will bring a fresh perspective into manufacturer perspective to make it more aligned to development, systemic development of the overall things, and make awareness, um, awareness campaign for our customers and the healthcare givers who are who are the most important thing in our place, right? If they understand and they start using it to the last extent, then it would make more sense, and um, the technology would be used for the better things. So I agree with you that there are some challenges, like you said that it may restrict some of the developmental work, but we do not want unconditional development as well, right? We want
Absolutely.
some restrictions, some degree of checks and balances over the development to go forward. So yeah, it's very exciting, very fresh to, refreshing to have AI getting embedded into our systems, and really looking forward to, have a very good innovative world coming through and helping our customers getting better care. So that's what I am looking for it.
Great. No, absolutely. I think you raised some very good points. And in addition to innovation, obviously safety and ethical considerations and transparency are very critical aspects for society in the Europe. So they are definitely concerned about safety, ethical considerations, and transparency of the procedures of AI. It's fairly new, and I think this act definitely provides some framework, for people who are innovating in AI products. Great. Let's jump on to the next one here. So this is a very high level recap. We have another webinar on AI. You can look at probably we did almost 2 3 years ago, but just the key elements so that we have this in our thought. So if these are six very key components of artificial intelligence, and we as a company are working on almost all of them as a development partner for our customers as well as in quality and regulatory. So deep learning, which is a very key element, neural network, which really helps to model your system and train it so that it act as a human. NLP, I think all of you really know, different language processing, framework we have. We have from Google, we have from Microsoft, we have from Facebook, Meta and other companies. Computer vision, it has been there for long, but the actual use of computer vision is really happening in AI because it is really helping to capture the image and read it appropriately and provide faster data to your AI engine. Cognitive computing, I think companies like NVIDIA have really extensively used it to come out with their GPUs quite greatly, and they're challenging the incumbent players in the market. And obviously, the machine learning, which we talk about all the time, which was the core aspect, along with data science when the AI wasn't really talked about much, probably 5, 6 years ago, but that has built the foundation, and now we are going towards exploring the full benefit of AI. It's a very high level element, just to recap, of components of the AI, but you can read more at different places. Let's jump on to the next one. So AI Act timeline. So it's the main crux of today's webinar. So I think if you look at 2nd August 2025, requirement of general purpose AI. So GPA is general purpose AI models will come into effect on 2nd August 2025. And previous to that, 2nd February is AI Act prohibitions will come into effect. So they have not given like too much timelines, just the kicked off in August, which is just a couple of months ago, and then two deadlines are coming very soon, in next year, early next year, February and August. So I think we need to really gear up to really understand the act really well and how uh, it affects our IVDR system. Obviously, we are the reason of having AI piece in our system, IVDR system, is for the benefit of the patients or caregivers. So it has more benefit than the risk, but at the same time, we will have to prove that to the regulatory body. And I think some of these timelines and what should be achieved at each timelines, we should look at in detail in that. If you look at classification of AI Act, this is not the exact definition. They have not really classified, but based on our expertise and experience, we have put into 4 different categories. The first one is minimum risk AI devices like photo editing software in your mobile or desktop, right? So those are the minimal risk AI devices. Then you have limited risk, like chatbots, which are extensively used in software these days to do variety of work, visual or audio, deepfake. These are limited risk, but what we are interested are in high risk AI device. So, for example, AI powered blood test that analyzes a blood sample for multiple types of cancer is a high risk AI device. Now, the interesting piece here is, since AI, whatever AI does is obviously high end. Sometimes it is as powerful as human, or it can be more powerful than human. So even if you put a AI piece into a class B device or class C device, as soon as you put an AI there and you are able to prove that you are being able to provide much more enhancement or much more outcome to the caregivers, it becomes high risk AI device. Right, so that's a very interesting scenario. So I think a lot of classification will also change. As soon as you put AI right into your IVDR device, and at the same time, we will have to comply, to the 3 regulations, GDPR and AI Act as well as IVDR. So I think it becomes very, very critical to make sure that we align our tech file, stat, documentation, risk analysis to make sure that we capture all the three major regulations. What is prohibited? Like biometric categorization, emotional recognition. I think this is more related to the freedom of speech in the European Union and ethical behavior. So they have prohibited that AI systems will not be used in these kind of AI systems. Uh, so this is a very interesting slide. I would like to just talk about the actual use of AI technology into some of the medical, aspects. Right. So on the left side, you have AI technology in IVD medical device. Right. So there is IVD system. Right. On the bottom vertical is what is the AI technology, right? And the right side, which function of healthcare it relates to. So the first one is AI-based blood cell differentials, right? So what it does, so AI analyzes blood smear cell images using neural networks, right? And is hematology. So what you can ask what was being done earlier. So I think hematology was there earlier. There were a lot of hematology equipment, but I think what it does, it sort of differentiate the blood cells into different categories so that you can do a better analysis, be it cancer-related cells, and so that your analysis becomes much faster, quicker, and that it analyze the differentiated cells in one go. The second example is automated image analysis, which is there both in IVDR as well as in MDR. So it's both in medical devices as well as in IVDR. AI-driven tools automate medical image analysis, right? They are used in both pathology and radiology. So you have images of your, human sample, which you can really analyze deeply. The third one is predictive analysis. I think this is very, very interesting. And I was fortunate to visit a couple of hospitals and met top-notch doctors, in last few months to see some of these products where, they are working on some of the software products developed by, medical device or IVD manufacturers, right, where the AI ML models predict disease based on the likelihood of specific conditions. So you have like a questionnaire or outcome of certain multiple reports, and based on that, they sort of provide likelihood of a specific condition, on certain parameters. The last one is molecular diagnostics, very interesting subject. Here AI analyzes genomic data to identify cancer-related genetic mutations efficiently. And I think this really helps to diagnose genetic mutations in the cancer. It's a very high-level recap of some examples where AI is currently used, but I think the game is going to be changed in next 5 years or so. It'll be extensively used in multiple more IVDR devices, and there'll be much more new use cases which are going to come up. And I think EU has taken lead to come up with the AI Act framework, which will really help more innovation, in my opinion. Some people differ from that, and they will have the lead compared to other high regulatory markets around the world. I would request my co-panelist Manjul to take over this slide.
Hey, thanks, Kuldeep, and it was really beautiful way that you explained all the previous slides.
Thank
And
you.
you were talking about IVDR, right? So we have gone through IVDR. I think most of us have faced it, either part of IVDR or MDR that we have submitted or on verge of submitting our tech files to our, you know, our, our collaborator or whichever, notifying body that we are working with. But um, in line with that, now we have EU AI Act that is going to come, and I think the all the industry is watching that how we are going to do the submissions for the IVDR under the IVDR umbrella. So one of the thing that we have to think about, what is the impact that it is going to have it on our quality management system, because it need to be integrated, all our procedures and manuals need to be integrated with the upcoming AI Act related things. So one thing that we have to do a gap analysis, understand what are the what are the gaps that we have in our quality management system, and then once we have the gap analysis done and we have the updated quality management system procedures and manuals and all the things completed, we can have the submit the details. Like providers can go and submit the details to the compliance documents to the body. The next part would be the notified body, which would assess it per their Article 17 and see that whether we are complying, and what is the timeline that they are looking for the reassessment. It is completely risk based, and they have to understand what is the risk that is there because of these gaps. Um, After that, they would provide us the control of technical documentation would come into picture, and they would we have to go through the audits and understand maybe the body would come to your doors and see that how much you are complying to your own standards, your own QMS, and to the EU AI Act. So after, if they are meeting to all the requirements, then they would recertify you. And if there is any gap that they would find, then maybe you have to do a non-conformance analysis, or maybe have to do a corrective action to resolve the problem. Once it is done, I think the next part would be the surveillance of the approved QMS. So based on the risk that is there in the system, based on the product that you are certifying under the IVDR Act, you have to go for the periodic audits with your notifying body, deciding on what is the period or the frequency with which they will do the audits, and what are the things that you are going to do under that. They would um, provide you the access. Providers must grant access to the audits and provide necessary information so that they can keep checking like whether you are meeting to the standards and requirements. And monitoring and measurement would happen for the whole quality management system. It's very interesting, and IVDR, we have seen a lot of similar things. So there would not be much changes anticipated, but at least we have to submit the impact statement and the necessary changes that we are doing, and ensure that we are meeting to all the changes that we have provided through our quality management system. So um, it would be not a difficult task, at least my understanding, but yeah, we are there to support you. If you have questions, you can always reach out to us. But you know UI AI Act, we have to get it embedded into our quality management system, in short. Kuldeep, if you can move to the next one. So the technical documentation per EU AI Act, we try to understand the complete system, um, and try to just generalize it, or try to furcate it into the 9 different headers that we have it over here. Like what are the documentations that would be required? So one would be the what is the general description of the AI system. We need to provide what is the purpose of the AI that we are using into our system. Um, and we have to always be using our risk-based approach, like how much is the risk to our patient or healthcare giver, how much is the system interaction that it is going to have. We have to always understand that it is all for the human. So it is going to be used by human, and it is to be used for the human purpose under the IVDR. So we have to provide the system interaction to a level that it is how much is the impact to our patient. And the next level of detail would be the softwares and the firmwares that we are going to plan to use. That would include all the different kinds of tools that we have used, and how much is the validation that we have done. uh, Market forms, hardware descriptions, all this would be required, like who is going to be our end customer, who is going to be impacted, or what are the different market forms? Is it going to be for the analysis purpose, or is it going to, what is the how much is the use? Is it going to be making a critical decision in your device functioning? So all those part of the AI system, the hardware description, how much is the hardware, is it really compatible, all that you need to provide it to your body, notification body, with what are the product components, the user interface, very important part of it. We have to understand that AI is integral part of human intelligence, and it is going to learn from there. So user interface provides a key thing. And um, as I said, that at the end, the healthcare provider or the HCPs are going to be the end user. So how much they are, it's a new thing for them as well. We have to be, mindful of the fact that it at the end it should be convenient for them to use, and it should be meaningful outcome for them. How much is the patient getting benefited by that? So user interface will provide the opportunity to discuss the user interactions part of the AI with the human world, and what are the instructions that we are providing, whether they are complex by nature, how much we have done the training part of it. So those would be under the general description, and followed by the detailed description of how we have developed, what are the design specifications, system architectures that we have used for it. The more important thing here, that from the compliance perspective, I can think of what are the summative and formative studies that we have performed to reach out and develop our AI system, how much we have included our customers into it, and how much we have gone back to them to see that whether it is effective or not in its outcome. So validation and testing would be a very important part. um, I think the point five here is the risk management, which will be also very much interactive with validation and testing. Like, what are the key risks that is going into the system? Uh, what are the, if we are using tools from ISO 14971, we can use user FMEA or application FMEA and see like we can, make a quantitative risk analysis through this. And this all would help to understand how much risk that is going, and if it is really mitigated through the measures that we have taken, the risk control measures that we have taken, and what is the final outcome of that. Maybe the benefit risk analysis will tell whether it is benefiting the our end patient or not, or whether the risk is too high still and we need extra measures. So that would be a very interesting discussion between risk management and validation part of it. Monitoring function and control, it is a developing system. So how we are going to monitor the performance, the human oversight, and what is the control that we have over that. That would be very interesting to have. Performance matrices, that is we are seeing. um, what is that, what is the outcome of having AI in our board? Is it appropriately measured? What are the measurement characteristics that we have chosen? And post outcome, have we put a real good plan to monitor the performance of those things? Um, Through validation and verification is one thing in a controlled environment, how much it is working. But when it becomes like in the market, do we have real control, and is it giving the right results? So very exciting things to come. But I think I'm saying the least about it, but it would require a lot of detailed analysis and lot of thorough checks before going into submission phase. Then I think all other 6, 7, 8, 9 is genuinely like covered for all other changes in the IVDR. It's very similar, like life cycle changes. What are the system changes that we are bringing? What is the standard compliance? Like, what are the newest standards that we are going to follow? And after that, we'll get the EU conformity declaration under Article 47. So the last part of it is the post-market evaluation. Um, Once we have launched, what is the plan that we have? How much we are going to monitor? What is the frequency of monitoring? Where we are going to monitor, like EU market, how much what is the control that we have over that, and how much we are going to resubmit to the body. And the control plan would be required as such, because it's a very new thing, and based on risk, what are the things that we are going to do for that? So lot of exciting things. We are under the IVDR. We have to. I'm assuming that we have submitted, and now as a change, if you have a AI into your system, we would look forward, like, to um, submit the technical documentation with these details to our regulatory partners and see that we can get it um, effectively approved with minimum queries and in the shortest period of time. So looks very exciting, and it's like that industry is not aware of the challenges. We have gone through 62304. We have the softwares into the system, but I think AI is just a new buzzword. But as we are seeing that there are a lot of focus on human agency over, oversight. There would be focus on technical robustness and safety, and we have to ensure the privacy of, as it is in the EU and controlled environment. We have to look for the you know privacy and data governance, all those things. But it's really exciting. It's challenging, but it's really exciting. Kuldeep, would you like to provide your insights on this?
No, absolutely. I think you have done wonderful explanation of what really is required from overall STED or tech file perspective. I think very detailed analysis. Manjul, one of the things which I have seen in my conversation with manufacturers and providers, they always, at least at C level, they always ask, hey, how much more time it's gonna take, for me to complete my tech file, if I have AI piece embedded into my system. So from your experience, is it like 10-20% more in general? Obviously, it could vary a lot, but if you have, let's say, at a high level, you have is not very complex, it is small enhancement of your system, based on AI. In your opinion, is it like 20%, 10-20% more effort on the tech file, or it's more?
Very good question. And I think the AI Act is new for the um, bodies as well, regulatory
Hmm.
bodies as well. So
Yeah.
um, there would be few hiccups in the beginning, like when you would first submit, there would be few more questions because they need to understand as well. This is
Hmm.
not the uh, you know already existing. You have complied to 62304 and cybersecurity part of it, and you have come to IVDR phase. So now it is one new step that is added. I would
Correct.
say that um, it would be little more, eventful in the start, little more
Hmm.
hiccups, but at the end of the day, we know the system, we know our software, we know that how much efficacy it has, and what evidence that regulatory bodies are looking from ourselves. Once it will become like you have submitted from one system, and once they would also know what to ask and how to get the data from the manufacturer or provider, I think it will become more smooth in coming days. 10-20%, yeah, that is fair, but I think initial days would be little challenging. I would not say too much challenging, but it's like everyone to understand.
No, absolutely. I think that's a great point. And each regulation has its own learning period. We have seen in MDD to MDR,
Yeah,
regulation was not very clear initially. There have been quite a few amendment clarifications, and notified bodies also learned because they were also not really prepared
yep,
to adopt to the standard. But I think that's a very good point you have raised. Initially, we might have hiccups, but in my opinion, we probably have less challenges because at least we have
yeah,
seen one, MDD to MDR transition, and obviously IVD to IVDR transition is also almost done. Now, since these two major regulations, we have faced, now AI Act, whatever learning we had from these two, we will probably adopt in the AI Act, and obviously, I don't want to forget about GDPR. So that was also a very important aspect, at least. But definitely there will be some learning aspects when we start, and I think we have been able to do that in last 2-3 major. regulations transition, I think we'll do good in this as well.
Yeah,
Thanks a lot, Manjul.
it's very exciting, I would say.
Absolutely, it is. Let's jump on to the AI Act. So I think just a very high level. So applicability of AI Act. So applicability of AI Act is on to the five type of entities. So there's one called provider. Right now you have to just remember this, and we'll have to talk about what is provider and all these applicability entities and their definitions the next slide. But right now you just remember provider, non-EU provider, deployer, importer, distributor, and manufacturers. So I think all of us know manufacturers, so that's easy, right? And importer and distributor is also quite easy. I think the initial three terms are quite new, which were not there in MDR as well as IVDR. So we'll talk about them, and these three are provider, non-EU provider, and deployer. Now, AI Act is not applicable to multiple different entities or organizations. So, non-EU public authorities, I know it is not applicable. Military defense AI for various reasons, right? It is not applicable. Scientific research, you don't have to really use the act if you're doing scientific research, and if you're doing any open source AI, which is different kind of a tools we already have in the market. AI Act is not applicable to them. Let's look at the definitions real quick. So providers are the people who are putting AI systems in the EU market, regardless of their location, right? So that's a provider. And then we have a sub-classification, non-EU provider, and providers and deployers of AI systems located in non-EU country, right? So they want to just categorize, do you really exist in the EU territory or not, right? If you are not, then you are called as a non-EU provider. Now, deployer is deployers of AI systems located in the EU. So I'll try to simplify it. I think all of us know manufacturer. So let's take an example of let's say like a pathology equipment. It's a blood analyzer, right, manufactured by one of the large companies. And there is a AI piece of it from, let's say, a startup. So the startup which is developing this AI piece of software is a provider. But obviously, let's say if this software startup is in a geography, for example, let's say in India, right? So obviously they do not really have a ecosystem in EU, right? So all of a sudden they become non-EU provider, but they need help of somebody who can take their software and go to manufacturer, talk about them, right? So that becomes a deployer. Obviously, the deployer will also have certain capabilities or enhancement on top of that provider AI system, not always apple to apple, just taking it and deploying, right? But it has some enhancement done, right? So deployer becomes like a gateway to go to the manufacturer. So that's how it's going to work. Again, provider is the entity who is really developing the AI piece. All right, deployer is somebody who is taking that provider's AI software, embedding into their subsystem, and then taking that subsystem to manufacturers. In some cases, we might have all the three in one. Obviously, there are large manufacturers, who have their own internal capabilities, so they themselves will be a provider, and they'll also be a deployer as well as the manufacturers. So that's a high level definition, but I think you can Google and you can find a little bit more of each of these. But we wanted to have a quick high level definitions of who these entities are. Now let's look at cybersecurity. I think I want to make sure that cybersecurity was important earlier, right? With AI Act, it has become more important because and in AI, some of the trained models in AI are sort of acting itself with little less human interface, so they are more prone to cyber attacks. And the outcomes of those results, may be more harmful. So I think cybersecurity has become even more critical in AI Act. So I think these are four major points, right? I'll probably talk about number three. High risk AI system must ensure accuracy, robustness, cybersecurity, and consistent performance throughout their life cycle, right? So you also have to make sure that your AI software or AI system is integrated into multiple different networks of hospital providers, right? And they are more prone to cyber attacks. If you have, let's say, different servers, right, where you're exchanging the data, you have to use multiple filters to make sure that there is no unwanted cyber attacks enters into your system through that networking you are having at the provider place. Right. Number four is again important. Technical solutions for high risk AI cybersecurity must align with the relevant circumstances and associated risks. So I think to Manjul's point earlier, in tech value risk assessment becomes more exhaustive, right? Because you will have to add more cybersecurity elements if your AI system is high risk, right? In addition to what you already have encountered, you will have to add more risk and assess to make sure that you have higher benefit compared to risk in your system. So this is probably the last slide. So what key insights and takeaways? So we have seen that there are a lot of medical devices as well as IVD device are there incorporating software. And if these softwares are AI software, then these devices become high-risk AI devices. So as I said earlier, there'll be a lot of reclassification. So if your device is class B or C and you are adding AI capabilities into it for various reasons, most likely it will move on to class D, right? Because it becomes a high risk, right? The second one is your conformity assessment. Obviously, you have IVDR device, AI Act, right? And then you already have GDPR. So I think you will have sort of a combined assessment of all the three. And one of the things we missed to talk about that, the notified bodies, some of the notified bodies will be approved for AI Act. So you would be lucky to have one notified body who could do all of your three assessment, GDPR, AI, and IVDR. Right now, they're in a process of approving. So right now, the number will be less, but I think in next few months, it will be much more. Overall, if you look at, I think, there's one set of people who are saying that there's a lot of regulation within the EU, the regulations in other high regulatory countries, obviously, US, Japan, Australia, right? China is also strengthening. So I think there is a need of harmonized standards. So there's a lot going on within medical device and IVDR fraternity. Now, at the same time, there's a lot going on in AI fraternity as well. So they are coming up with a lot of standards, not only for medical devices or IVDR, but other applications into, let's say, in defense, in consumer, in other industries. And I think those frameworks would be ready next year or so. And I think those will help to harmonize the overall standards. And our intention is that how you reduce the burden of regulatory into the cost of the products. I think these harmonized efforts will be there. I myself are part of some of these harmonized committees which we are participating, and Manjul is there in a few others. So we are really helping to consolidate our aspect of assessment and how it should reduce the cost when you have a product which you're deploying around the world, 10 high regulatory markets, some low regulatory markets, but you have different standards. So I think these harmonized efforts will definitely reduce the cost of regulations. Next, we have, I think, some abbreviations. I think all of you are expert in med device, but I think we have kept this, our director has told us to keep this. So when we do a video of this webinar and you are replaying, so you can really these abbreviations and you can read them at your ease. I think we have taken little our time, but we have definitely a few minutes to take Q&A. So I will unshare and I'll be happy to take some questions along with Manjul. So I think I don't know whether they are able to unmute themselves. Okay, I think probably you have to unmute. So there is a question. Mr. Raj is asking, what does the AI Act impact the development, regulation, and deployment of AI technologies? How does the AI Act impact the development, regulation, and deployment of AI technologies? So I think, Raj, a very good question. AI Act will definitely impact and some positive, some not so positive. I would not say negative, um, because I think the learning is that wherever we have come out with Act at the later part of the development, it creates challenges in the end. Here, we are in the development phase of AI and the Act has come. So I think in my opinion, it's going to help to do innovation in right direction. We don't want to invent a device which will never be approved. So it's like, cost to any company who is really investing the money in this. So I think in my opinion, it'll impact, obviously regulatory cost will increase, but I think it will benefit to the manufacturers and the providers who have a good technology, and if they follow the framework, they will definitely benefit from it. Manjul, do you want to add anything?
Like I said before, like it is very much, you have to go back to your software development life cycle and see like 62304, what is the, you know, how you are going to integrate the act requirements into your software development life cycle. And based on the risk, it is not that independent of the risk. You have covered most part of it. So how much is the risk, where is the risk, and how you are covering the risk? That would be the interesting part. And in detail, you can just read about the AI Act itself. There is a lot of
Mm-hmm.
things given in there, so you have almost covered it.
Excellent. I think Mr. Mohit is asking, what is the difference between normal software and AI-based software? So maybe I can just start and Manjul can add. Definitely, there's a difference, right? Because for software, we had a 62304 standard, for SAMD, software as a medical device, right? So which definitely would be required for AI as well. But AI software becomes more critical because in AI, you always do not have human interface, right? Since you do not have human interface, you have to have more control, right? So I think that is the major difference, and that's why as soon as your software become AI software, it becomes high risk. Many of the software which are not AI based, maybe low risk, but this becomes more like a high risk. Uh, then we have a question from Amit, who will be responsible for ensuring data privacy, especially in the context of AI in vitro diagnostics, since AI relies on large volume of data, including medical records from multiple patients, which are highly sensitive. How will privacy be safeguarded? Manjul, do you want to pick that up?
Just wanted to clarify on the last question as well. That
Mm-hmm.
was also a good question. So the key difference between the normal software and the AI-based software is that, the complex algorithms that is going to come, right? We have
Hmm.
machine learning models or networks. That is part of advanced programming. The other thing that I can see is that, problem solving in uncertain environments, like, you know, you have a very dynamic environments where rules are not fixed. It's just working in a clinical setup. And,
Hmm.
which the previously we have a very less extensive experience in that. The other thing is the decision making ability without like you were saying, without a human interface, the software itself making certain decisions. And the other thing is the learning capability of the software. It can learn on its own and start doing something on its own. And that autonomy and adaptability of the system with the, with or without human intervention, like without any administrative control but working with customers and the healthcare providers. So it is really something which is newly coming up in the software field. um, Probably very exciting but even very complex algorithm. So these are the new things that are coming up under the AI. Like we have also picked up in our slides that what is the AI based, what are the things that are the components of the AI. So I think those makes a difference between the AI and the non-AI, software development part of it. Those complexities and those things that those topics that I have talked about, those are the key things that would be there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thanks for adding.
Yeah. And regarding ensuring, in the context of in vitro diagnostic, ensuring data privacy. I think data privacy was previously part of our regulations, and I think we were already dealing with large amount of data. Like it's not that one scan almost takes so much of data, and we are doing hundreds of scan. Like we are serving some of the customers where, so it's already part of that. uh, Privacy will be safeguarded. That's a question, like again risk management approach of it. Like
Hmm.
where is the challenge, how you can lose the data, how, what are the key measures that you are incorporating through your uh, you know through your risk control measures that would safeguard these things. It is left to the manufacturers and providers to do this job. um, so it's not one answer thing, one word sentence that I can really tell that, you do this and you can get the answer. It depends on
Correct.
lot other things like risk based, how much is the complexity, what is the volume level, who is the, how much is the interaction part of it, and where is the vulnerability of it. Like we talked
Hmm.
about the cyber security part of it. So all this will play, part in coming out and getting to this. So unfortunately I can't give you one word answer how this will be safeguarded, but I think we have great manufacturers who, and through our risk control measures they would look into aspect of it.
Absolutely. I think I agree with you, Manjul. It's obviously, as you rightly said, I think we have had these challenges earlier also, right? Even without AI, but I think with AI coming on board, it's probably enhanced. I think that's how the act came into force, and it is really good that they are adopting notified bodies, who are already competent on medical side. I think so that will help really to understand. Not just the AI piece of it, but how AI is sort of implemented into IVDR, right? So it's, in my opinion, it's more extension of, SAMD and 62304 assessment. But obviously, this piece where there's a less human intervention in the full model AI that sort of become a new challenge, which we need to conquer and have more safeguard. And obviously, on to the human side, the ethical interventions, which EU does not want, this act where the data of patient becomes available or those kind of things. So those are the major controls which we need to take care. I think in the interest of time, we're a little bit, a few minutes over. Probably we can take other questions separately. But Himanjul, it was really interesting to do this session with you. I have really enjoyed, and I hope that it was beneficial to others as well. As I said when we started the presentation, you have the email ID, so feel free to reach out if some of your questions are not answered, and one of us will jump on to answer your question. Manjul, do you want to say a few words before we close?
Yeah, it was great discussing this new exciting thing coming into the market, right? Um, it's very initial days, and we are also learners. I think
Mhm.
everybody here that we have in this room are looking forward for it. That's a great step. We have to
Absolutely.
discuss, and as we collaborate and discuss things, I think it is next. Like IVDR in the start was so difficult, but now it is easy to approach and get your product certified, get your QMS certified. So I think similarly, I think when we start discussing things, when we collaborate with each other, when we ask the right questions, we have the forums like this where to, discuss out things. It becomes really good. It provides depth of knowledge, and it provides a smooth transition to the next system. So I think we are eager to look forward to the new things. And I think if they have questions, they can always reach out, and we would be always glad to help and happy to help.
Perfect. Thanks a lot, Manjul. I think I would say that probably AI Act is going to help to cure more diseases, have better health for the people, better devices, and I think we'll save more lives around the world in our mission to make healthier world. So thanks everyone. Thanks for joining. Wish you all the best. Thank you.